Friday, last question of this week. By the way, just so you know, no video yesterday because some questions are just for my students, and so I may answer a question for them, but I don't get to share it with everybody else. So you have to be in my class if you want those. But here we're going to end this week with this one of why didn't Adam and Eve simply just chop down the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Therefore, they couldn't have eaten from it, and then they would live forever because they just eat from the tree of life. Why did they just cut it down? I've actually heard this quite a few times, and it's now come up again. I have two thoughts for this. One is just a general principle. Normally when a question starts with why didn't so-and-so, or why didn't God, why didn't Adam and Eve, or why did they do this, oftentimes the answer is I don't know. And I always hear this on Greg Koukl Show because people call in to Stand to Reason all the time and say, why didn't God do blank? And the answer often is I don't know, and it's simple, right? If a student is going to ask, why did Mr. Pauly assign this assignment? You can only know that answer if I've told you or you ask me. Otherwise, you can just speculate. You know, I give my homework because I hate students and I want to ruin their life and make them study. Or others might say, I give homework because I'm the greatest teacher and I just want them to learn the best information. I don't know if anyone actually thinks that one. Mostly, I'm trying to destroy their life. The whole point is we don't know. Why didn't they just chop down the tree? I don't know. They didn't say, but the whole point is they didn't chop down the tree. And that's what we're left with. Maybe they didn't have an axe. Maybe we could speculate. Let's just not do that. I don't know why they didn't chop it down. Now, the deeper, though, question I think is that we often think that if they would have removed that tree, then they would have lived forever. And I don't think that is necessarily the case. And it's because of this. Satan did not have a tree and did not have a snake to tempt him. It was simply his own nature, his own free will that desired the glory that God was getting, that desired that sort of worship for himself. And he didn't want to give God that. He wanted it for himself. That is what led him astray. And so I'm convinced that since Satan didn't need anything to rebel against God, like a tree or a snake, that it's possible that also for human beings the same would have been true. That even if the tree had not been in the garden, given enough time, Adam and Eve probably would have done the same thing Satan did, rebelled against God, wanting the glory for themselves, not wanting to give the glory to him. And then we would have been left in the same position. So I don't think necessarily removing the tree would have solved the issue. Why didn't they chop it down? I don't know, but they didn't. They ate of it. Now we're in the mess that they created. But luckily, Jesus came and offered the rescue plan to get us out of the mess that we put ourselves in. See you next week with more questions of the day.